Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Voluptas Ocularum. It means pleasure of the eye. In this video, I'm going to be showing you everything that I'm bringing with me to an art/watercolor workshop in Florence, Italy. I'm going this weekend. It's the first weekend of September, and the workshop is with a watercolorist from the Ukraine. Her name is Janet Pulcho. She does really large-scale floral watercolor images, and they're highly expressionist. They're sort of based on Renaissance themes and colors. And I saw that she was doing workshops back when it was my birthday in March, and I got a few gifts for my birthday, so I put them towards going to this workshop. And since then I decided I better work really hard to get to a point where I could actually use my materials and feel comfortable with my brushes and my papers and everything like that. So I'm going to show you both the materials that I'm bringing for the workshop specifically, as well as just sort of general on planar materials that I'm going to bring with me. All of the on planar stuff I have used multiple times outside, so I know that it's stuff that I like using and that I will use, and it's not sort of just extra just because I like the colors, which I think is kind of a temptation. When you're packing for a trip, you tend to bring more than you need. And it looks like a lot here, but I think once you see it all put away, you'll see it doesn't take up that much space. The stuff that takes up the biggest amount of space, of course, is the set that I'm bringing specifically for the workshop. And this is based on a list of colors that was provided for the paintings that we're going to be working on. And what I did was I didn't have Schmincke watercolors, which is what the artist uses. But I put together a full pan set, or pretty much full pans, from a variety of other watercolors that I had. So I have this Rosa, I had a 21 modern set, as well as a few extra colors kind of from the romantic set. And so a lot of the full pans here are from the Rosa Gallery watercolor range. Then there are a few larger pans, some Roman Schmal, Holbein, Holbein again, Roman Schmal, Roman Schmal, Roman Schmal, and then a bunch of kind of smaller half pans for colors that I didn't have full pans of. So I have this A.Gallo ultramarine, Ercolano, permanent carmine, and then I have Roman Schmal magenta. I have a KW Arts, which is a handmade watercolor. This is a quinacridone violet. I have Essie, which is another handmade watercolor from Italy, in the Paolo Veronese, which is like a Viridian green. I have an Isaro in chartreuse, and then I have a Winsor Newton half pan of sepia. So I just tried to make up the palette of colors that was recommended for the workshop, and you can see all of the names here. I've swatched them out. I find it really handy to have like a swatch palette card while I'm working, just because the pans don't always look like what the colors are. So this is, the largest, most heaviest part of what I'm bringing. I am bringing a roller bag with me, so that's the sort of largest thing I'm bringing. And I also thought it would be good to have this large palette because it had more mixing space in it, and I didn't want to bring an extra mixing palette with me. So that's that. And for the workshop, she wanted us to bring the 12 by 16 inch watercolor block of arches. So I have a new block here. I got this on Amazon for actually £41, which was the best price that I could find this size in the UK. I don't usually work on watercolor blocks, but I got this specifically for the workshop. So also for the workshop is a range of brushes, and these were also not the specific brushes themselves, but the types of brushes were recommended in the list. So I have kind of like a medium hake, probably just for wetting the page. I have this Escoda Ultimo in size 18. I got this as part of a set, the David Taylor set. And this is just like a large mop brush, again, probably for doing large washes or just getting things wet. This isn't something I really wanted to bring, but it was the only sort of like 1/2 inch flat brush that I had. This is a Raphael brush. I've had this, I don't know, I think I might have inherited it from my grandfather actually. I got all of his art brushes when he died. So I think this is one of my grandfather's brushes. But yeah, this is the only like watercolor appropriate like flat brush that I had. So I'm bringing that. And then I have a range of round brushes. I have a Da Vinci Casaneo number 10. I have a long round Princeton Aqua Elite in size 12. I really like this because the edge goes to a super fine point as you're working with it. Yeah, and that's pretty good. Then I have a Tintoretto size 0. This is like a squirrel, or I think it's synthetic squirrel, smaller mop brush. And then a synthetic round, pointed round in size 8. And another Escoda brush from that same set, the Prado size 8, which is smaller than the other 8. There's no like consistency in watercolor brushes. So anyways, I just tried to do my best based on the pictures that she provided of the brushes that she wanted us to bring. So I've tried to match them up as best I could. Anyways, those are all just for the watercolor workshop. I don't think I would bring these out with me on plein air painting or anything like that. So yeah, those are those. Now everything else that you see here, and I'll just pop some of these palettes over, is basically what fits in my on plein air kit. So this is the sort of like bag that I use to carry all my art supplies around. It fits inside my camera bag. I have a long lens slot in my camera bag, and this fits perfectly inside it. So I can take my camera, my art supplies, as well as an A5 sized sketching sketchbook. And then I use this Just Go sketching pad, which I'll show you in a second. So basically everything fits into here really well, and I'll show you how it all comes in. In terms of my on plein air palettes, I have 3 options. So this is the one I've used kind of the most so far. It is from Essie. Essie does handmade watercolors. They're for sale on Etsy. I think they also have a website, but I bought this as part of a larger 48 set called the Torino 48. And there are 2 large 48 sets. I have the second one. All of these paints, I've sort of like curated a smaller palette for myself, and I really love using these colors for landscape. They're not typical mixing colors, and basically whenever you see a palette that I've created, you will never see typical mixing colors, pretty much because when I'm on plein air, I hate mixing. It's taking so long, and it's also taking up so much space. I just don't have the time or patience to do it. So I like to choose colors that I know are going to work for the subjects that I'm painting, as well as going to be convenient to use. So I don't have to like use up all the space in my palette trying to mix the right green, trying to mix the right blue, trying to mix the right browns, you know, like that's just a waste of time for me. So I prefer to use colors that are already pre-mixed, and yeah, that's kind of my style for outside. I've replaced a few of these, so you can see that some of them have like a new swatch taped on. And that was just because I was finding I needed either a little more contrast in the range or a little bit more brightness. So yeah, this is the palette, and these watercolors are honey-based watercolors, and they work really well. They're just super beautiful. So that's my Torino palette. Then I have Arteza Gouache. It's not like high quality gouache or anything, but I just find it really like easy to use, and I like the colors that I have in this set. So this is again from a 60 set. I had bought a 60 set of Arteza Gouache from Facebook Marketplace for like a ridiculously low price. And they were barely used. So I squeezed them out into pans and created my own Earth Hues set. They do have a limited 12 set for Earth Hues, but I found there was too many browns and not enough blues in there. So I swapped out a few of the colors and just created my own palette that I like to use. And I've also used this in my sketchbook quite a few times, and I really enjoy using this palette. So I know that this is reliable and I'm gonna really enjoy using it. So that's that. And then the final one is my tiny palette. And this is what I call my like curated landscape watercolors. I would say like if you were only interested in doing landscapes, this would be the perfect color combination of what you need. And again, you see zero mixing colors here. I do not have a red or a blue. I have yellow in the fact that I have raw sienna, but like basically I don't use typical mixing colors because I just find them too difficult to use while I'm out on plein air. So yeah, this is my set that I use. It's a mixture of brands. I have Daniel Smith, Winsor Newton, A.Gallo, and Essie. I think that's it. And yeah, I just tested this out again yesterday to make sure I was happy with it, and I am. So yeah, it's really the perfect tiny little landscape set. And I put it into this little palette. 12 pens fit perfectly. It has a magnet on the back, so it on this Just Go Sketching notebook board, sketchboard, these are magnetized strips, so you can just pop it on there and it will stay, so you don't have to worry about it like falling off or moving around. You can put it like whichever direction you want, and I usually like I'll have to do something about this pan. It's one of the A.Gallo pans, is super full, so it's sticking to the top. But usually what I do is I'll take off my swatch card and I'll just stick it on the side so that I know what I'm looking at. And then this is like my little mixing area. This is a fully sealable water cup, and I just use like water from my water bottle to fill it up. Yeah, and how this works is it just goes right into your sketchbook. So you kind of put it in like that. You open it up to the page you want to sketch on, and then it sticks into the spine like this. And there's these little clips it comes with, so you can just clip it down to the page like that. And as soon as it's clipped down, like it really doesn't move, so it's very secure, and it's just really convenient for one-handed painting like this. So that's how I use it outside. This is made by somebody in Cornwall, I believe, and you can find them on Etsy in different sizes. I think this is the 5x8 size. So yeah, that's my sketching background. And then this is the sketchbook I'm using. It's a Clairefontaine hot press watercolor paper. I didn't think that I would like a hot press notepad because everyone says you should work on cold press for watercolor, but I actually really prefer this for on plein air sketching because I just find the paper like really, really forgiving and really easy to work on when I'm trying to move quickly. So yeah, like I was working yesterday when I went to Salisbury, and it's just like a really easy to use paper that is good for multiple different mediums. Like I use watercolor, I use colored pencils, I use drawing pencils, and yeah, so I really like this. And I have a whole bunch of different sketchbooks and eventually I'll use all of them, but this is the one I'm using right now, so that's what's coming with me. Yeah, and then I have a lot of smaller media. So I have this set of Faber Castell Goldfaber Aqua dual markers, and these are from a variety of different sets, but primarily I think the majority of them come from the Tuscany set. I have vintage pink, I have burnt sienna, I think also from that one is the sky blue pastel, and That might be it actually. I have also, so I have like 4 sets of these markers. One is called the jungle set. I think that's where all of these greens come from. One is called the seaside set, and I think that's where this light gray came from. I have a floral lettering set that has a lot of pinks and oranges and reds, and then the Tuscany set. So I kind of just like took the markers that I thought I would like to use the most based on the other palettes I have. And then I have this sand color from Tombow, and that's just going to be my like really light sort of sandy color. I haven't really used markers all that much, but I thought I would bring them. Those are the only media that I have like not really experimented that much with, but I thought this might be a good chance to try them out. Okay, and then the other stuff I am bringing with me are these Caran D'ache Neocolor 2s. I use these all the time for finishing details in my work. The ones that I find the most useful are either really light or really dark colors. I don't find that I'm using these to like create pictures with or sketch with on their own. I'm usually just using them to add texture or enhance the depth and contrast of something afterwards. So my favorites are the white, this apricot, no, it's desert rose, sorry, not apricot, the light gray, which is a really beautiful, like light bluish gray, and I find it so useful for everything. Everybody has this one, it's the light cobalt blue. I also really like the russet and the saffron. These are like really good for brighter pops of still natural looking color. And then I also have the pink, a couple of greens. This one is salmon pink. This is light olive. This is chromium oxide green. I also like to bring darker ones. So I have the grayish black, sepia, and then this is just random. I thought I would bring the turquoise green. I don't know if there'll be anything that's that color in Florence, but I thought I would bring it just in case, because like sometimes you never know, you want to have like a really nice like bright accent or something. So those are the Neocolor 2s that I'm bringing with me. And then finally, just a few colored pencils. The ones that I use the most are actually the drawing pencils, and I'll show you those last. But this is like a variety of both Luminance and Lightfast, Derwent Lightfast pencils. And again, I find with colored pencils, I only use them at the end, and I'm either trying to like outline something or add details. So I find that darker colors are more useful for me. The midtones don't really like, I love the midtones. I would use them just on their own if I was sketching with them. But for the work that I'm doing right now, I find really I just need the like darker colors. And then I added in the 10% burnt sienna because it's a really nice dusky light pink that I can sketch a background with. So that's that one. This is the natural russet. This is Lightfast olive earth. This is Lightfast forest. And then this is Lightfast midnight black, which is similar to like a dark indigo. So I use those for outlining details at the end. And then my favorite pencils for drawing, sketching, and doing little things afterwards are the Derwent Drawing pencils. I find that these just go over like gouache and watercolor so nicely in a way that other colored pencils don't, because they have like a softer lead, so they just seem to like flow onto the page a lot better than other pencils. And they don't really break. They hold their shape for a long time. So I have Chinese white, cool gray, pale cedar, Mars orange, sepia red, and ink blue. And again, those are usually used for contrast and details at the end. So I'm gonna put everything into my bag so you can see how it all fits in there. So I usually put all my drawing pencils at the front because they're the things that I use the most, or that I need access to most easily. So let me do this in a way that you can see it. All right, this bag is for holding little bits and pieces. I'm just gonna pop all my markers in there, and then all of the neocolors, they sort of just sit in the bottom. Sometimes I put an elastic around them, but they always just end up like in the bottom of my bag anyway, so I just leave them like that. And then I'll get my colored pencils and pop those into there. Yeah, the last few things that I have in my pack are a pencil. So this is a clutch pencil from Kohinoor. I think I've had this since I started drafting in my architecture degree in like 2005. So it's been around for a long time. I have a couple waterproof line makers here, so you can sketch underneath, and as soon as they're dry, they're basically waterproof. And then I have a white Posca, which actually like really hate this pen because it never draws like I want it to. It's always pooling and I really hate it, but I have to find something that works that's better. And all of this stuff I just pop into this like front little pouch here. Inside this little bag, I put my clips for the sketchboard, an eraser, and a little pencil sharpener. It's not a very good pencil sharpener, but it like does the trick if you need to sharpen a pencil on the go. And I didn't want it to be too heavy, so I wasn't going to bring any of my big pencil sharpeners. And then in terms of on planar brushes, I carry a couple of water brushes, which I think I have to clean this one out because it's looking pretty gungy right now, but I'll refill these and make sure that they're clean. And then one I always keep just for green because the green one always gets like so messy and stained, and I use green the most in my landscape sketches. And then another one I'll use for like lighter colors like light blue or yeah, whatever else I need. And those just like live in there. And then I bring a couple of really crappy brushes, and then this is, I guess I don't need to bring this one because I already have the same Tintoretto brush in my other package for the workshop. So I just bring a couple like, you know, I got these off of Amazon. They're from the Grace Art package, and it had like, I want to say it had 10 or 12 different brushes in a variety of sizes. There was one half of them are like in the flat range size, and then the others are these rounded brushes. But I actually find these perfect for on plein air painting. I'm not worried about like losing them or abusing them. They're really good for what they are, and so I tend to use those quite a bit. I'm not really fussed about like the professional quality of the brushes that I'm using on plein air. Yeah, and then I probably will just bring this empty because I don't want to bring liquids on the plane, but I pop that in there as well. And you can see this little palette also fits inside here if I like mush things around. So everything basically fits inside this pack. And then one thing I wanted to mention about the Clairefontaine is that they come with these extra sheets at the end so that you can put sheets in between your drawings, which is actually really handy because a lot of the time when I'm outside, like I can't wait for something to dry before I have to move on. So I'm just like popping a sheet in between so that it doesn't get onto the other page. But I love that they included those because I always forget to bring extra pages with me. So that goes like that. This goes on top like this, and this packs up. This is basically everything that I bring with me for on plein air. And then if I, whatever palette I decide I want to use, I'll just bring this one of them instead. So I think that if I even like squished stuff around, I could take out one of those and pop in one of those, and it would still fit. So that's basically what I do for painting on the go. And yeah, so it's pretty compact. It's actually like got everything that I need and not more than I need, which is good because it's easy to get overwhelmed when you're outside. Yeah, so this is basically everything that I'm bringing with me, and that's gonna make up a lot of the weight of my roller bag, but who needs clothes in Florence when it's gonna be 30 degrees? So I hope you've enjoyed this, and in the next part I'm going to actually get out a piece of paper and like swatch everything that I'm bringing so that you can see how it looks as a totality.